In ancient times, people of all cultures watched the night sky like we watch television today. It was active and changing, and occasionally it held unexpected surprises. The ancients explained the comets, meteors, and supernovas they saw as creatures and gods. It was their way of understanding. What if, among the heavenly signs that early man tried to explain, there were visitors from another world who descended from the sky upon the primitive peoples of China, the Middle East, and America? How would early man have explained these extraterrestrials, and what relationship might have been established between them? Throughout the folklore of ancient civilizations, there are references to strange beings and objects in the sky, and to fantastic events that some people now think should be taken literally. Academics point to verifiable history of the Bible and wonder if it is not entirely based on observation. Behold the 4 wheels by the cherubims, and the appearance of the wheels was as the color of a beryl stone. If these stories are to be taken literally, they must then be explained. Some scholars believe that the explanation lies in the prehistoric visits of ancient astronauts. Skeptics say that if such alien cultures exist in our history, we should be able to find traces of it on Earth. In fact, there are indications that such traces do exist. Stonehenge is one of the best-known sites of megalithic stones in the world, but it is just one of many such unexplained locales where there are impossibly heavy stones aligned in mysterious ways. The statues of Easter Island, the impressive Gateway of the Sun at Tiahuanaco, and mile after mile of upright stones at Karnak, France. From Baalbek in modern-day Lebanon come the largest cut stones in the world. One more than 70 feet long, 3 stories high, and weighing well over 1,000 tons. Arabic legends say that the stones at Baalbek were part of temples assembled shortly after the flood by a tribe of giants. What is certain is that these megaliths could hardly be moved today, yet they were formed and moved thousands of years ago. How and why? The famous pyramids of Giza in Egypt are so huge and so perfectly constructed that they have long been called a wonder of the ancient world. Once covered with a smooth layer of limestone and capped with gold, the pyramids contain many mathematical mysteries, such as base measurements at the Great Pyramid equal to the exact number of days for Earth to orbit the Sun. Until the Eiffel Tower was built in 1889, the Great Pyramid was the tallest structure in the world, and the relationship of its height to the circumference at its base is equal to pi, the transcendental number that defines a perfect sphere. The Great Pyramid is squarely aligned with the 4 major compass headings. Each face of the Great Pyramid is slightly concave, something only discovered by airplane in the 20th century, and the resulting arc exactly mirrors the curvature of the Earth. In the largest of the Great Pyramid's chambers sits a solid granite slab that was hollowed out by technology unknown before the 20th century. How could the Egyptians have accomplished such a feat thousands of years ago? 2 narrow shafts in the Great Pyramid extend from the large chamber to opposite sides and have been identified as passageways for the spirit of the dead king, or simply as air shafts. But it has also been shown that these shafts point directly to Zeta Orionis, one of the 3 stars in Orion's belt, and to Sirius in the constellation of Canis Major. The Egyptians believed that Orion was the home of their god Osiris. In 1994, it was discovered that the arrangement of the 3 pyramids at Giza mimics the position of the stars in the Orion belt, as they would have appeared in 10,450 BC, just after the last ice age, nearly 8,000 years before the pyramids are said to have been built. Did alien forces from Orion leave their mark on Egypt long before the pharaohs? This is not the only evidence that suggests that pyramids are much older than traditionally believed. The Sphinx, considered to be from the same era as the pyramids, has been shown to be extensively eroded by rain. Only the last time there would have been significant rainfall over the Sphinx would have been before 10,000 BC. Wind and sand could not have done it, and the Sphinx was covered by a protective blanket of sand for much of the last 3,000 years, which means the weathering had to be done long before that. Some experts now believe that the face of the Sphinx may have been carved over an older face, which would account for the figure's disproportionately large body. What other secrets might exist at Giza? In 1934, the clairvoyant Edgar Cayce predicted that in 1996, chambers would be discovered beneath both the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid. Unbelievably, his prediction came true, but Egyptian antiquity officials have never disclosed these chamber contents. Recently, another remarkable alignment was shown to exist between the three stars of Orion and the pyramids at Giza, Xi'an in China, and Teotihuacan, the city of the gods. Located in Mexico City, Teotihuacan was populated by some 150,000 people in the 5th century AD. Today, little is known about the people who built this mysterious metropolis, except that, like the gods themselves, they suddenly disappeared. Ancient astronaut theorist Erich von Daniken, author of Chariots of the Gods, thinks that there's a celestial plan within Teotihuacan. He believes that the city is constructed to represent our solar system, with one structure built to signify each planet. The largest pyramid, the Temple of the Sun, was originally covered with mica, the same material used today to protect the space shuttle from burning up on re-entry. Mica, however, cannot be found for hundreds of miles from Teotihuacan. An even more mysterious city of temples, located on a remote plateau very high above sea level, is built on a scale fit for gods, or giants. Long abandoned when the Incas arrived in the 1400s, nearly everything about Tiahuanaco is unknown. It has been argued to be as old as 15,000 BC. Its construction suggests architectural abilities that are difficult to imagine even today, and the remarkable artifacts suggest a flourishing and advanced civilization. 60-ton stones hewn with meticulous angles sit on top of 100-ton stones. The impressive Gateway of the Sun is constructed from a single block of andesite, which had to be hauled to the 13,000-foot high plateau from a distance of 40 miles. The gateway is believed to show the creator Viracocha surrounded by flying servants. Nearby, the great idol at Tiahuanaco is made of a single block of red sandstone more than 24 feet long and weighing 20 tons. Genesis 6:4 tells us that there were giants in the earth in those days. Was Viracocha a giant? Was he an alien? How else could such large stones be moved, up to 400 tons at one Inca site, without the aid of the wheel, and on such treacherous terrain? Consider one part of Tiahuanaco, possibly a palace, called Pumapunku. Here, large sandstone blocks of more than 100 tons once fit tightly together like puzzle pieces, with the help of sharply grooved notches where molten alloy was poured to serve as staples when hardened. Who were these people, and how did they develop their technology? So mysterious is the inspired architecture of the Toltec and Maya that some experts suggest these cultures might have been established by the Egyptians, Israelites, or the Chinese. At Chichen Itza, near the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, a temple to the god Kukulkan is built with such precision that, like the Great Pyramid of Egypt, its corners face the 4 cardinal compass points. A total of 364 steps lead to the top platform, step number 365. And on 2 days each year, the fall and spring solstices, a spectacular serpent shadow slithers along the stairway, like a god descending from the heavens. What sort of god was Kukulkan? In southern Mexico, about 80 miles from the Gulf waters, lies the Mayan temple city of Palenque. In 1949, a tomb was identified here inside the temple of the great king Pakal, who ruled for nearly 7 decades in the 7th century AD. The first ancient royal tomb found in the Americas. It took 4 years for archaeologists to unearth Pakal's crypt. When they did, archaeologists found a grave covered by a curious 5-ton tombstone. Its well-preserved relief seemed to show the king in a state of transition from mortal life. Scholars have suggested that he is falling down the trunk of a tree into the other world, or being devoured by an underworld monster of death. But looking again, it also appears that he is seated in a kind of vehicle, perhaps to transport him upwards to the gods. His hands are at the controls. He seems to be breathing through an air regulator. And there even seems to be an exhaust of fire. Is it a monster or a spaceship? Is Pakal returning to the gods the way they arrived on Earth? To return, the ancient people of the Nazca Plains in Peru tried to make it easy for them. This area is surrounded for miles by gigantic ground drawings of animals and objects that are only recognizable from high above. These geoglyphs, such as the one dubbed El Astronato, a waving figure who appears to be wearing a suit of some sort, are at least 1,400 years old and possibly much older. The only human-like figure of the dozens on the plateau, El Astronato points both up and down simultaneously, indicating the importance of the Earth-sky relationship to the Nazca people. Some of the drawings are hundreds of feet across and absolutely symmetrical. One depiction, that of a spider, has been identified by astronomers to be a remarkable terrestrial diagram of the Orion constellation. Some believe that the drawings altogether comprise an astronomical calendar. One of the symbols seen repeatedly at Nazca is the spiral, suggesting a possible understanding of the structure of the galaxy. Stranger still are the long lines and geometric figures that continue for miles and end abruptly, their purpose entirely unclear. One figure that does indicate a clear direction is the 600-foot-long trident of Paracas. From a distance of 90 miles, it seems to point the way to the Nazca Plateau for any visitors descending from the sky. Scholars have suggested that perhaps the Nazca created lighter-than-air balloons and rode the winds high above the plains. It is more likely, however, that the Nazca drawings were made by a people who never saw them as they were intended to be seen. Whether the Nazca people could fly or not, it is clear that the drawings could only have been made for gods or aliens. The question remains, was there a relationship between aliens and the gods of Nazca? It seems impossible that somewhere in the universe there aren't other intelligent beings who are right now contemplating their place in the cosmos. Maybe one of those civilizations is advanced enough to have charted planets like Earth long before humanity could even conceive of life anywhere else. Maybe one day they'll return.